So, hello everyone, and welcome back after a very long hiatus to Dungeons and Dragons: The Second Age. How are we all?
Oh my god, it's been
Pretty good.
like
Ah,
7 years.
We've aged so much.
I feel like a completely different person.
It's interestingly enough, it's been about 9 months since we last played this. So,
It's really been that long.
That
yes,
sounds about right, yeah.
God.
Yep, I think, yeah,
it has been some time.
to put it mildly.
Yes, to cut a long story short, we decided we were going to take a brief hiatus from the game and come back with some changes. And yeah, here we are again after some time out doing different things.
And oh my word, what is this marvelous thing we're looking at? Because it's not our usual opening screen.
No, it's not. We are starting on the map that I have made, as was one of the oft-requested things at the end of last season. I've done a map, which I can pan out for the camera so everyone can see. But yeah. So, in order to get us back into the swing of this game, I think a little Q&A is in order. And basically, I'm gonna ask you all a question, and you're all gonna give me an answer. And the question is, who are you playing in this session today? What is your race and class? What do you do in the party? And how did you become a member of the Amber Eagle? So, who wants to volunteer to be first?
I suppose I will go first.
Okay.
I will happily go first. Because I suppose I'm the biggest change, because people who remember Von Dahl, he is retiring from adventuring.
He's an old man now.
He's a middle-aged man. He's not an adventurer anymore. He's now just going to look after the Amber Eagle while Grim's away. And instead, I will be playing as Elizabeth Topaz Agiad, who is a female Air Ganassi wizard.
Wizard.
She's a wizard!
He's a wizard.
A wizard's kiss.
She's a wizard!
I'm glad that we're right back into it.
Lay upon me!
A wizard kiss.
Anyway. So yeah, and she's just going to be bringing. She's still not a pushover of a wizard. You're not going to sneeze on her and knock her out.
No, you're quite a beef wizard.
Yeah, she's a tough wizard thanks to the Ganassi heritage. And on top of that, she's a School of Abjuration wizard. So she's got lots of protection magics. So she'll be keeping herself and her party members out of danger. And backing them up with some big old spells.
Indeed. So the most important question is, how did you come to be a member of the Amber Eagle? Because you're not an original member.
No, she's not. But her family are quite military minded. They're quite a militaristic family. They've got a lot of wealth from that. And Elizabeth's less of a warrior, more of a scholar. She's a historian, and so she's decided at some point to have a little adventure, gather knowledge from other places other than her own family's library, and in doing so she probably very much heard plenty of rumours as she wandered throughout this part of the world of a strange new party of heroes and their upcoming mercenary company.
Hmm.
And of course, mercenary company, first of all, it's a good place to gain support and backup for heading into dangerous areas. And she knows full well her family would be very happy to know that she's gone on to that kind of career, I suppose.
Mm.
So she figured it was in her best interests to ally herself with such a new, up-and-coming organization.
Mm. Interesting. So you've been around for a little while. You've got to hang out and integrate yourself into the Amber Eagle, where your skills have been sort of very much appreciated as a skill set that wasn't present in the party beforehand. They didn't have any wizards until you arrived.
Aye. They also didn't have many linguists. Elizabeth speaks a lot of languages.
Yes, and yes, who better to be who's better military company to join than one of the more unconventional, led by perhaps one of the more historically and law-minded races as the gnomes themselves.
Indeed.
Speaking of,
Nice segue.
Yep, amazing. No, it's fine. Well, there's Quagrim Daemaris, or also known as by his full name of Dorbus Quagrim, Elcrin Frosher Erifax Daemaris.
Beautiful.
Is a rock gnome who sets out to do big things in the military. They turn into a battle master fighter, trying to use their wits in order to gain the advantage in combat. However, after some disagreements, in the military, he decided to set out for himself and set up the Amber Eagle, and has desperately been trying ever since to, get it started, and it kind of has succeeded, or it's starting to succeed, considering we have our own place now.
yes, at great expense to both yourself and the party, the Amber Eagle has set about construction of a stronghold on the outskirts of Ivywood Market, which, as we begin our story, will be very recently completed. But unfortunately not fully paid off yet, as it ended up being a little bit more expensive than you had predicted.
It's fine.
Yeah. Just
Nothing we
remember,
can't
guys,
handle.
and just remember, he isn't a rock. He's a rock. No.
Lobster.
Wow.
Anyway,
Da-da.
who else is an integral member of this band of mercenaries?
Do you want to go, Jayla, or do you want me to go?
You can go. We can follow the.
Hey, we can follow the who wants to
Typical
go.
order.
Oh, there you go. Oh.
Oh God.
Basically, you two are back to your old selves. Just every time it comes down to you two at the end.
Yeah. Well, my name is Arya Tallithsyr. I am an Eladrin elf. An elf. The Feywild. And I am a ranger. We tweaked the ranger class a little bit, so it's a little bit less shit.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Player's Handbook
Yes.
Ranger.
Well, it's not even the Player's Handbook Ranger, because
well,
that
even
was
the variant one
that
was
was
better.
garbage. It was the variant one, which, whilst it had certain power peaks, was beginning to pale in comparison to the rest of the party members. So we are now using a homebrew rule set for the Ranger instead.
So I have a few more spells, and by a few I mean I have spells.
You have
that I
literally
actually
all
use.
of them. So
It's literally all of them.
Just
And
like a
I'm a
cleric.
little bit better at hand-to-hand combat, so I'm not just shooting from the sideline.
yes.
In terms of how she got to the Golden Eagle, I mean, she was one of the original people in the party, so she was traveling around with everybody. And after everything went down last year, she took some time to herself and went off and but now it's back. And she has made a pledge to be part of this group, trying to do some good in the world.
Hmm.
The world
Yes.
needs some good.
The world could always use more heroes.
The world use more heroes. I don't know
Wow.
why that accent happened, but it did.
I mean, I was doing the accent because I'm trying to be Tracer. I don't know what you were doing.
I don't even know what.
If that's your
accent
attempt
it
at a Cockney British accent, then jeez.
I don't know what
Cheers,
it was.
love.
Cheers, love.
Cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
I don't think that's an actual accent. I think it's just something
Anyway,
I think I'm just fucking.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing.
last but not least,
So I play Kelariis Greysurge. She's a Dragonborn paladin. Who, I guess, towards the end of when we were last playing, took on a squire, who she has kind
Indeed.
of spent a lot of the previous. What did we decide? It was 5 months in universe.
yeah, but 4 or 5 months, give or take.
Yeah, has spent a lot of that time kind of working with her and working on herself to become a better influence on her squire.
I like the idea of her just taking some self care time.
Yeah, it's a self-improvement and self-care time. No, but
Now just
Yeah,
envisioning Kelariis in sunglasses. Treat yourself.
I mean, that sounds like something she would do maybe without sunglasses. Though her idea of treating herself may be something very different than what other people may imagine.
So not clothes.
No, she doesn't go clothes shopping. No. Yeah, but she's a paladin to Tallithsyr, and I mean, really, she joined the Amber Eagle, like, officially because she told Grim a long time ago that she would think about it, and that after some things happened where he temporarily left the party, sent a message and said, I would love to be a part of your mercenary company if you ever rejoin us, and we actually get that started. And she also feels it's a good kind of stable center to come back to, especially while she's trying to train a squire and be less reckless herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, and she enjoys helping out and being with her friends to smite some wrongdoers out of the world.
Mhm.
Just your average day.
Just your average smite.
Just your average
Smite day.
It did help that you essentially conscripted your squire into the Amber Eagle to get them out of jail. So
Yeah.
That
I
happened
mean,
too.
that was a-
It's like a. In a way, it's a little bit like press gangs, but more consensual.
So, yes, you also have some other many and varied members of the Amber Eagle. You have a number of mercenaries who work under your service. You also have your prior companions who have agreed to sign up alongside you, working as your, at the moment, bookkeeper and resident healer. Vondal Ironfist is with you, as well as V, who is technically resident within the stronghold, although she spends almost more time outside of it than she does inside it, as she has her own current aims and goals. You also have, as Jayla mentioned, Tallithsyr, who is still with you and serving as squire to Kelariis. You've also managed to... Grim has acquired an underling lieutenant, one up-and-coming Eldritch Knight known as Sedani Bright, who, basically, as from what I understand, you've been training her up to sort of not quite be your second in command, but take some sort of leadership role within the company.
Yes. Yeah, like, she's kind of gonna, like, even though like Fondal can do like basic day-to-day tasks, she can start doing like more micromanaging of the mercenaries and actually do like the mingling and whatnot that goes along with managing your people.
Mm.
Like take care of them, train them, that kind of stuff.
Indeed. Yes, and perhaps, whilst not technically a member of the Amber Eagle, perhaps worth mentioning is perhaps a surprise addition to your stronghold is none other than Rask of the Serpent Totem tribe, who was a lizard man that you guys met in the middle of a swamp after he basically tried to attack and burn down the house of one of the retired wild hunt guards that you had made the acquaintance of. After an unusual exchange, you sent Rask off to essentially negotiate with his tribe and come to an arrangement with the elves to restore the ancient totems that were accidentally destroyed by the elves on the borders of the swamp. And one autumn day, as construction of the stronghold was going on, you were encountered Rask once again, who this time clad in a little less armor and a little more sort of tribal attire, came and claimed to be an emissary or envoy for the lizard folk, who seems to have taken up residence in your stronghold. You aren't exactly sure what it is that he's doing for you yet, but he doesn't really get in the way, doesn't eat very much, and generally tends to just hang around in the barracks, so he hasn't caused enough of a nuisance yet to be thrown out. So perhaps maybe he'll be useful in the future.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, and I believe all of those characters aside, I think you have 12 other individuals who work under your company.
Yeah, like 3 squads of 4.
Yes.
We have some well, they're basically all kind of rookies.
Yes.
Some have brought some better gear, so they count as like medium mercenaries, with like some other armor and stuff. And I got some archers. And then just complete rookies who just were like, you know what, we're gonna give this a shot. We don't really have any proper gear, but provide us with weapons and we'll give it a go.
Yes. Once you'd paid for all the mercenary the construction, there wasn't much room left in the coffers for armor and weapons for the mercenaries. So it's basically what they've brought. There's
It's just like the ancient armies.
Yeah, some of them are armed with sort of like woodcutters' axes, others with like crude other weapons. Some of them have actually got armor and weapons that they've managed to buy themselves with their income. But yeah, so I think that serves as a good enough introduction. And I have a little passage to read to you guys to sort of bring you into back into the surroundings of the world and into the boundaries of your stronghold. The first frosts of winter always seem to be the coldest, settling upon the last of autumn's leaves like tiny icy fingers, sending the inhabitants of the southern edges of Aryvandaar scurrying to hibernate beneath its ever-ample canopy. Seeds long planted during the amber months, the plants retreat upon themselves, saving the last of their energy in the hope of sprouting once more come the new spring. For the folk races of the north, however, respite is better found before warm hearths, in the company of companions, new and old. Inviting taverns offer warm mead and warmer beds to those who have toiled the day in the bitter cold winds, and those who must venture out to earn a wage grumble at the grey skies and damp grounds as they wrap up in furs and coats crafted to keep out winter's chill. For the companions of the Amber Eagle, the first winter together is a chance for celebration. Newly erected wooden walls and stone structures mark the first permanent signs of their success as a mercenary guild. And as all hands gather in the communal hall to watch the guild banner unfold across the back wall for the first time, they all raise a cup to the hard work and success of all involved. Scarce anyone can believe that 4 months ago the founding members were saying their goodbyes to the folk of the Scale Coast and heading north again to set up a new home for themselves. Friends and allies would come and go, forming new bonds and rekindling old histories. Some seeking to start new tales of their own, and others wishing to continue the good work they had set out to perform those many adventures ago. No one even back then could have predicted that moving earth and stone to create this fledgling stronghold was possible, though not without hefty investment of both time and coin for all involved. Awakening come one morning to the sun's rays twinkling across a freshly laid coat of frost, the companions of the Amber Eagle begin their daily routines, not knowing that soon their skills will be called upon once more to write the next chapter of their legacy. So, Amber Eagle, where does the morning sun find you?
Well, I don't sleep more than 4 hours, so I'm probably awake.
Yes, the biting winter's cold for a winter Eladrin is it's you're used to it by a great deal. It almost reminds you more of home, being this close to the forest and with the chill winds whistling through the trees.
I guess Grim would be up early, because it's like still in the newer days. He'll be polishing up the sign of the Amber Eagle.
Mm. Yes, lovingly crafted with the tools you have on hand. There is a brilliant sign that hangs just above the main gates.
Elizabeth, I'd imagine, is roused by the sun coming in through the window and is not happy about it. She's just like grumbling a little bit. It's like, 5 more minutes.
Not a morning.
She's not a morning person, but obviously she still gets woken up in the mornings all the goddamn time.
Yeah,
That's a mood, huh?
Yeah.
that's a mood.
It is hard to sleep in, considering your more academic background, to the fact that there are no curtains to prevent the sun's rays streaming in, and the tramp of a few dozen armoured soldiers outside your window.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine Arya's like going up for a morning walk/run.
Mm.
Yeah, and like, Kelariis gets up and probably honestly just runs like a really simple sort of, it's not even drills, it's not drills at all, it's just like, you know, practice stuff with the Syrah, and like if anybody else wanted to join, like she doesn't say no to anybody.
So yeah, there's a sword drill goes on in the courtyard outside. Whilst, a number of onlookers gather to watch this. After all, this far north, the sight of 2 Dragonborn engaging in combat is somewhat impressive to behold. Arya, you catch a glimpse of this as you're sort of like running your laps around the outside of the compound, your wolf bounding at your heels.
Lyra! Oh yeah, I didn't introduce Lyra. Shit, I have a wolf. Her name is Lyra.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Great.
She's also quite literally your spirit animal. So.
She's quite literally my spirit animal.
Yeah. And I'd imagine the thing that finally gets Elizabeth out of bed is her own companion,
Oh yes.
the pseudo dragon named Scarlet.
Yeah. So
Oh, dragon.
as we see Elizabeth roll over to try and block the sun out, a small dragon crawls across your face and begins sort of like licking at the side of your.
Aw.
Standard. But yeah, if the Dragonborn are still going, still going when she finally crawls herself out, she probably genuinely starts making notes, like watching carefully how they fight and making notes, as she's kind of probably would have done the last few however long when anybody was training.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this morning routine is one that has it's been going since the majority of the construction was completed. The first few months, or first few weeks perhaps, dodging around a number of construction workers as they pile stone and timber to form these structures. But yes, the morning's air is cut by the ringing of swords against one another as you guys practice. And sort of as you guys are beginning to come to a halt, starting to feel a little hungry, a different ringing cuts a lot across the cold morning air, as bereft of any other way to call the troops in for food, Vondal is stood there, dwarven thrower and frying pan in each hand.
Oh my god.
Nice.
As you all gather in the communal hall as breakfast is served.
Very good.
Yeah.
I love that this is what he's using his crazy hammer for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like this
Ancient magical artifact of the dwarves used as a dinner bell, along with rusty frying pan.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
hey.
tracks.
Waste not, want not. You'd make do with what you've got.
Honestly, I just say poor frying pan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
probably
Right,
makes
how many
sense.
To be
frying
fair-
pans did we go through?
No, he'd take a frying pan that wasn't already being used to cook.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. It's now probably got a big
Oh.
dent in the middle.
Yeah.
Certainly got a number of scuffs. Every time he bangs it, like the soot comes off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Great.
So yeah. Another morning passes, and all of you sort of glancing around the hall, you see just a surrounding of friendly and hospitable faces, and it's always difficult to sort of shrug off the feeling that perhaps adventuring was a good life, but sometimes it's nice to come back to this.
We have a home.
We do have a home.
Elizabeth, I'd imagine, is like eating with just one hand while the other is like
Yeah.
holding a book open.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I imagine after breakfast and everything is cleared away, the rest of your day sort of stretches out beyond, and yeah, you guys are free to sort of do as you please.
I guess considering it's still in the early days, I guess Grim would be overseeing the training session of the
Mm-hmm.
troops, or well, of the mercenaries. See how Sidani is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth is either taking notes on unique fighting styles that she sees, or is inside reading through a large pile of books.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of the two. She's like in and out between the two. She gets bored of one, goes out and does the other.
Yeah, I imagine Arya like helps out with the archery people.
Mm-hmm. So you're...
And like, yeah. No, sorry, I was gonna say Kelariis, like, same.
Yeah,
swords.
between you, drills are led and overseen, and Elizabeth, you sort of secret yourself away in a room somewhere and begin your work. But whilst this morning, the majority of the morning passes much as it has done for the last couple of weeks. Just as the sun is sort of lazily approaching its crest in the sky, the sound of a horn sort of rings out a short distance away. Considering that you guys are a decent way out from the town itself, that's a little unusual. It sounds like it's fairly close nearby.
Can I go try to see where it came from?
Yeah, sure. So there isn't really any place that you can sort of look over the walls, but you sort of like head over to the main gate and sort of peer around out into the fields. Off in the distance, you can sort of see the buildings of Ivywood Market, and between the market and your little compound, you can see a number of figures approaching. The majority of them, it seems to be, are on horseback, with one walking by the side of their horse, and sort of leading it up the track towards your compound. A track that is now well worn by the boot prints of soldiers and construction workers.
I'd imagine Elizabeth's pretty quick to follow up behind Arya, just because, ooh, a new thing.
Yeah. You head out into the courtyard, see Arya overlooking this. As they come closer, give me a perception check.
Everyone, or just the...
The guys who are looking.
Well, I can't tell you anything. 'Cause I'm fucking blind.
Guess I would keep an eye out.
Yeah, I mean, if Arya went over,
Yeah, you can all take a look.
Yeah.
fuck his perception sheet.
Okay. So, Arya and Grim, as you're sort of like peering out, like the sun reflecting off the now melting away frost, it's the gleam on the armor of whoever it is that is approaching you it's very difficult to make out their build or their any heraldry that they might be carrying. Elizabeth, as you're sort of looking, these people look from their gait and the barding of their horses to be perhaps not all military, but certainly all fairly important. And one of the people who is on the back of the one of the frontmost horses is indeed sort of sounding a bugle. Kelariis, you sort of squint your eyes against the shine and manage to make out a rather unusual sort of crest on a banner that they seem to be flying as they approach. It looks to be it's like almost like a full plate helmet, like a Crusader style bucket helm, against a deep blue background with a pale yellow circle, basically adorning behind the helmet. Well, give me a history check to see if you're familiar with, or perhaps a religion check, either history or religion check to
Alright,
See if
well,
this is
both of them are
significant.
the exact same.
Okay.
So with history.
Okay. You've seen this before, but the specifics of it eludes you. But it's a set of iconography not that's more commonly associated with Helm, the human god of protection. As you look further, you can tell that most of these people do appear to be sort of humanoid and human-sized.
How interesting. I guess Grim's out here, right?
Yep. But by this point, you and a number of other people are sort of gathered around this gateway, looking out. All thoughts of the sword drills long forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just kind of like turned to Grim and were we expecting people today?
Well, we aren't expecting anyone, but that doesn't mean they can't show up.
Yeah, guys, is it just me, or are they very much tooting their own horn?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I thought we got rid of these puns.
Now, if anything, they're gonna get worse.
Oh.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back to Pun City.
I'll just point out that was probably in character as well.
Oh, I assume
no,
that
that was
was. Oh, great.
Well, as long as you don't talk to talk like that in front of them, should be fine. But I guess they're still approaching, right?
Yeah, they're still like maybe like a few minutes. They're progressively coming closer towards you, but they are quite a ways out, sounding the horn.
Oh, people! I guess it's time to look busy.
Or should we go out to meet them instead, perhaps?
Well, I guess. I guess the looking busy is mainly towards the mercenaries, like everybody else. Not so much the core, if you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, your mercenaries, like the few sort of like standing nearby, just sort of like very like quickly sort of like and sort of like look attentive and sort of stand around. Some of them are like draw their weapons and then are like, I don't really know what to do with it.
They're doing their best.
At which point, Sedani and Vondal sort of turn at the same time and are just like, well, what are you waiting for? Form ranks. They just sort of like hurry and like make lines. But yeah, like after a few moments, the mounted figures are close enough for you to identify. They all appear to be humanoid. Two of them seem to be wearing what appears to be plate. It's plate armor, but for those of you that are proficient in heavy armor, it doesn't look like it would be terribly useful in terms of protection, and looks too well maintained to be functional armor. It looks more ceremonial than anything. Enough to keep perhaps bandits at bay, but a skilled warrior would be able to sort of find any number of holes in this ceremonial suit. The fellow blowing the horn is wearing sort of like a fairly sort of ostentatious-looking waist jacket with a fur coat sort of like bundled over so that you can't really see what the rest of what he's wearing. And the person leading the horse rather than riding it is a woman with fairly tan skin, who is basically around her temples. She has like a set of ornately crafted like leafy branches that sort of curl around the back of her ears and meet up with a band that connects it to the rest of her, or like keeps it firmly secure on her head. I would say probably Elizabeth, you are. This is a piece of iconography that you're probably fairly familiar with. This is amongst human culture. This is generally the attire of like a herald or royal spokesperson.
Oh.
So these people appear to be important.
I guess yeah. She'd sort of just whisper a little bit, but loud enough for everyone to hear it. Just sort of everyone near her to hear, and just. I do believe we have royal company, or at least, the voice of royals.
Shit. I mean, I guess.
Either good or bad.
Yeah. Could be good.
Let's hope for good, shall we?
Yeah.
Unless you guys have done something illegal you didn't tell me about.
No, we just did the illegal stuff we told you about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we told you all about the illegal things,
Uh-huh.
It's
fine.
I guess she's more being like, anything you might have, not been caught for and suddenly found out about.
Been caught for anything illegal or quote-unquote illegal we may have done.
Yeah, sure.
Arya?
Yeah, suspicious looks at Arya all of a sudden.
There's nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Okay,
So
I'm not going to ask, but if you have done something, don't say anything, because your lying is awful.
It's probably fine. They don't look like they're coming to arrest anybody. If they were going to try it with who they have with them, they made a poor decision about it.
Yeah, you guys outnumber them at least 3-1, so.
Yeah, but we all know just one of us would be in it, right?
Yeah, let's just assume they're here for good reasons.
We should probably go down and gather up to greet. Put our best foot forward.
Kind of like, would we like what would be better, greeting them inside and giving them like a seat, or meeting them outside and inviting them in?
We
Okay,
could,
meet
yeah,
them
I
outside
think we
and
should.
invite them in, right?
Yeah.
Well, meet them at the gate.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you step out into just in front of the gates to your compound. The woman leading the horse sort of brings it to a halt. Everyone else stops. The bugler lets out a small fanfare, and the woman with the golden laurels sort of turns to you and says, "Which of you commands the Amber Eagle?"
That would be me. How may I help you?
She clears her throat and produces from a pouch a bound vellum scroll. And she says, I am Selisa Storio. I am the herald of King Bothras Alisard, Helmsward and Lord of the Westreach. She unfurls the scroll, says, reading from the scroll. And my king has placed a summons upon the most capable mercenaries in the Westreach and beyond, asking that they report to his castle in Helm's Blessing, to hear the terms of a contract placed to find his kidnapped daughter. My king offers an upfront payment of 10 gold per head that takes up the contract for expenses, with a bounty of 2,000 gold to whomever brings her home safe and unharmed. Sort of rolls the paper back up and says, "We were informed that you were a reliable mercenary company."
Of course. Of course, we will happily, assist in this matter. I assume if we would you have more information for us, or would we have to visit the, what do you call it? Deep's Helm?
Helm's Ward. Sorry, no, Helm's Blessing, rather. Helm's Ward is
It's
Helm's
actually
Blessing's
Helm.
title.
Yep. No, I knew it
Helm's
wasn't
Deep.
Helm's Deep. It couldn't be Helm's Deep. Was
Yeah,
taken.
Helm's Blessing is over here.
Ah, there.
Oh, jeez.
They've travelled a long way, it seems.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a pretty long way to go.
Yeah. Damn.
It's about
All done.
2 or so, no, more than 2 or so, like 3 weeks of travel, pretty much.
Wow.
Fun times. Sorry, could you spell the names?
I can.
Thank
The
Jayla's like, I'm trying to write this down.
I'm trying real hard now. Names are hard.
Names are hard, man.
Oh, that was close. Thank you.
yes, there you go. Yes, that is the king, his titles. Yeah. When you ask, do you have any more details? The herald sort of shakes her head and says, "My message is to collect the mercenaries for a meeting in the castle at Helm's Blessing. I'm afraid the only other information I know is that it is believed that the Princess Alisard is held captive by a force of goblinoids and ogres. It's rumoured to have been hiding out in the eastern mountains."
That is troubling. However, we should be able to take care of that, nevertheless. If I may ask, how long ago did this kidnapping occur?
Well, we have been travelling this road for almost a month, and the moment we were sent, it was perhaps 3 or 4 days since she had gone missing. All I know is the court wizard was to contact me when the situation had been resolved. Until I hear from him, I assume that the princess is still missing.
Very well. Well, in that case, I assume we should prepare ourselves as quickly as possible.
My liege would appreciate that. Be warned as well that you are not the only mercenaries that we have been in contact with. If you wish to be rewarded for this endeavour, it would behove you to be fast on the road.
Well, shall we swift as the wind?
Ooh,
Very well.
we have a whole building to pay off.
Right?
She tucks away the scroll and says, "Well, if I take that as your acceptance, then we will take our leave, as we will continue to search."
Well, we'll get her back just as soon as possible.
She basically does a short bow, and turning to the knights in plate armor says, Well, we must ride on. There is another company in the town that I have heard rumours of. She pulls herself back up into the saddle and turns. And the bugler does a fanfare, and they turn and begin to ride away from you.
These fucking procession buglers, I swear.
It's a royal herald, you gotta have something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Royal.
I totally get it. Kelariis thinks it's a bit much, but...
Kelariis is probably not wrong.
Honestly, Kelariis is not alone, but those are the people you need, or like you
They
want.
got the money!
Yep,
They got the money. God.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Like, 2,000 gold is not exactly walking around money. Like,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
for you guys at one point it was, but that would,
Well-
yeah, that'd go a long way to paying off your debts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's-
more importantly, somebody is missing, and...
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, and if this isn't something ripped straight out of a book of legends, I don't know what is.
We have to save the princess!
Yeah, it's only the plot of every bard's tale ever.
Yes. Well,
Save the princess.
I thought that would be appealing to your character.
Wait, is it save the cheerleader, save the world, yeah? Save the princess.
something like that. But
Just don't go
think
to the
we
wrong
won't.
castle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Here's to hoping.
Then you end up saving a mushroom man, who tells you that your princess is in another castle.
Ugh.
Fucking
Thanks,
toad.
man.
Is he giving us the finger as well while we're there? Bastard.
Probably.
Anyway,
And then he'll show up whenever we start doing sports and he'll just scream "Fire!" really loudly at us.
Yeah.
Fucking toad.
also being terrible at kart racing.
Well,
Anyway. Yeah, you guys are left as this royal procession turns away from you in search of other mercenaries. What do you make of that?
I make
Elizabeth very much makes the remark of, well, if that isn't something ripped straight out of a legend, I don't know what is.
hey, that's the best way to become a legend. But before we do that,
Overdone.
we should we should start preparing, I guess. Like how long would it take to get to the what was it called? The mountain range.
The mountain range.
Well, like didn't they say like was it the trolls and goblins in the mountains?
Yes, force of
Yeah, we need to
goblinoids and
go to the-
ogres who've been hiding out in the eastern mountains. Which you assume they mean these ones.
Yes.
Right, but we were told to report to the city.
Yeah,
To
we've
the
got to get to
castle.
get Talon's blessing first if you want those details.
That is
And that was
true.
like three-week travel.
I mean, the thing is if we're going to the mountain range, we may as well go to the city anyway, because it's literally right
it's-
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
that's-
so close.
that was-
Silvercrag is like less than a day and a half ride because the path to Helm's Blessing is mostly like main trade thoroughfare, and then Silvercrag is a fairly big town.
Yeah. I guess we better get going then. Well, I said before we get going, I should probably grab our supplies for the trip. We're probably not gonna bring our. We shouldn't bring our mercenaries along.
Well, you haven't got nearly enough horses to do that.
Yeah. Like this is a job for the cream of the
Also,
crop,
The
elite.
A-team.
Like goblins maybe, but trolls is probably a bit much for these guys.
Ogres, not trolls.
Yeah.
Oh, ogres. Well, same story.
Still a bit out of their league.
Still a bit much.
They could take on some goblins, some ogres, maybe less so.
Also, I will point out, like, goblinoids also encapsulates things like hobgoblins and bugbears.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a goblinoid. Oh, I thought it was just
Yes.
goblins.
I mean, well within ability of some.
In other words, they're not ready. Let's just keep them on the low jobs. Good first impressions, after all. First
Yeah.
mission, you want to send the best, get the best result.
Well, they do deserve that attention for 2,000 gold.
Indeed.
As you guys are having this conversation, Vondal, who has been standing behind you during this conversation, sort of like running his fingers through his beard very thoughtfully.
Any words of wisdom, old man?
Oh my god.
Wow.
Damn!
He looks up with you, just like it's just like you. There's a look of just on his face that he just reads, "You never change."
Also, technically, you're older than him.
That is true. Not in terms of lifespan, but in terms of years. Yes.
No, in terms of literal years.
I'm sure that wouldn't stop Arya from
No.
saying old man.
Oh yeah, I would
No,
still
no,
say
no.
old man.
If Arya was 700, she'd still say old man.
But yeah, he sort of looks up and takes the fingers out of his beard for a moment, sort of straightens himself out, sort of says, Only that, well, Silvercraig and I have, let's just call it old history. Last time I was there, let's just say the Lord in charge of the city and I had a bit of a dispute.
You had a dispute with somebody? In charge?
Aye, I did.
I know this story.
You know this story, because you wrote this story.
I wrote this story. I'm so happy.
Oh, color me surprised.
Also, technically, I have told it before.
Yes, I have told you this story before.
Oh.
Let's just say he was a bad man. Didn't care for his people, and
Oh, it was that guy.
aye, that guy.
Yeah, you know, the guy who kind of, resulted in his near death.
In my defense,
Yeah.
I don't know if she would have remembered the name of the city off the top of her head.
To be fair, at that point, the name of the city was undecided.
Yes.
Oh, also fair.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, wait, is he still the one in charge?
Oh no, we paid to him a long time ago, but let's just say cities with bad history like that tend to
Ooh,
Tend
I
to
know this one. History repeats itself.
yes, precisely. I mean, you remember Mardan.
I mean, there's always room for change, and that's the hope, but it's good to
Yes.
know these sorts of things going in.
All I'm saying is, if you guys are going, just well, don't trust everyone. At least not at first.
Yeah, well, I think if we learned anything from our last adventure, that should probably be up on that list.
That said, the last time I was down there, things were very different. I was nowhere near I am the man I am today.
Let's hope things change for the better.
Aye, we live in hope.
Yeah, just like this was the mission that made Vondal a cautious bastard rather than a reckless bastard.
Yep. Yeah, that'll happen when you get ambushed and your entire squad
Yeah.
is killed.
Yeah.
That's XCOM, baby.
Woohoo!
Wow.
Wait, what? To be fair, that's probably exactly what happened.
Anyways, we have a long journey, so we should probably get ready.
Yep, probably.
You turn back from the gate, from like following this conversation, to see Sidani and Kelariis. Sidani and Tallithsyr are sort of like standing in the gateway, like expectantly.
Oh. Tallithsyr's your problem, Kelariis, so...
Wow!
I love this. Grim just like strides up towards the gate. Well, Tallithsyr's your problem. You have to tell her we're not going. She's not going.
Elizabeth's just remarking, just like, he really has always been like that, hasn't he?
Yep. That's nothing new. Actually, if anything, he's maybe gotten better about it since we first met, but...
I'm the best about it.
Yeah. Mental note, he has a very appropriate nickname.
Wow. Wait, that's what you consider Grim?
I was like, oh, you have a lot coming to you, friend.
Hello and welcome to the inexperienced youth.
Lyra just goes.
Big mood, Lyra.
Yeah, hello and welcome to the inexperienced youth. Elizabeth is 20.
Oh my god! Wait, like, actual years, though.
Actually is.
Okay, well...
You are a baby.
Well, Elizabeth.
You know,
Elizabeth's
have a
yeah.
human-
Elizabeth's year
human
is
lifespan.
comparable
Yeah.
because human lifespan.
Yeah.
Only human lifespan in the group.
Yay!
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
She's still taller than Arya, I think. Depending on how tall Arya is. I've forgotten how tall Arya is.
5'5".
Well,
Yeah, taller than Arya.
yeah.
How tall is Elizabeth?
Elizabeth's 5'10".
Ah, okay. I'm still the tallest.
Yeah, you're
Of
still the
course
tallest.
You are. You're a huge dragonborn.
Look, sometimes...
Like your minimum height is like 5'11".
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I just imagine like you being like, oh shit, I'm actually shorter. Kelariis has a sudden spurt of growth.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, she
Well-
wasn't done growing.
Do you, if you remember, your kid brother is taller than Grim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But Grim's also not very... Well, I guess Grim's not, like, super short either, but...
He's quite tall for a gnome.
Yeah,
The key word of that sentence is for a gnome.
right.
Yeah.
For
Like barely any of you
you
are
feel
twice
pretty
my
good.
height, so it's fine.
No, you come up to, like, my... What? The top of my leg, I think?
Yeah, but like it's
Ridiculous.
fine. Like nobody else is twice my height, so it's fine.
Basically, there's someone in the party now that you don't have to crane your neck in order to look down at.
Wow.
Wow.
Just stand a few steps further backwards.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so you guys get back inside. Zani and Tallithsyr are sort of like, so what was that about?
Well, it seems we have a job.
First job.
Sidani sort of like stands to attention, like, I'll get everyone ready.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
oh no!
First and highly dangerous job.
this is not the kind of job that, well, your experience will suffice, unfortunately. However,
You said I was getting better.
Oh.
Oh my
Now I
god!
know.
Elizabeth
Well-
just like puts an arm around her shoulder, just goes, "There's better, and then there's being ready to go out there and take down ogres."
Not only that, but leaving nobody else that is of your capability, like looking at both of them here at the stronghold, is probably not ideal if we're all going out this far. At least not this time around.
Yeah. We don't want to leave it just totally unmanned.
Especially because a lot of our mercenaries are still in training. looks over to people probably practicing and
Yeah.
maybe fumbling a little bit.
There's a group of people still standing in lines, like looking at you guys, and then like the moment you sort of like turn around and pay attention, they're like, "Oh yeah, we should be doing that."
God, this is the worst oil machine I've ever seen.
They're doing their best.
It's not the worst oiled machine you've ever seen. It's just a machine that no one really is quite used to using yet.
You've had them for all of like 5 weeks. Don't expect miracles.
Nope. I expect the utmost skill from my.
It's not like it's not like the cream of the crop of the Dragonborn army has like emerged to be your mercenary company.
Ow. Well, you say that. Look right here.
She was the cream of the crop of.
I've got 2 dragons. How many have you got?
I mean, to be fair, one of them is considered a disgrace to the Dragonborn army, but that's just nothing of her actual combat skills.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I just point out?
That's
one
just
of
your
them
ability to
left
follow
the army.
orders.
One of them left the army, and the other one has been entirely trained by someone who left the army.
Yep.
And herself.
Hey, look, they were too good for our army, and so
Yeah.
was I. So
Damn.
we have a lot in common. Oh. Well, bickering
But even
aside,
then, like,
So Danny's sort of like, so you want us to just stay here and train? What if something comes up?
well, look, if you're was free to, like, I'm sure there's jobs that are more appropriate for our current personnel.
yeah, I thought this is why you guys, why one of you guys was staying behind as a bookkeeper, and she just points over her shoulder at Vandal.
Yeah, Vandal will know what to do in case anything comes up.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're not. It's not that you shouldn't be taking other contracts. It's just. This is.
It's the big deal.
Yeah, it's
This is highly dangerous.
So Danny just sort of like puts hands on hips in a pose that Grim you've become intimately familiar with as the "this is my last stand and I'm gonna die on it" pose.
Look,
She's
okay.
As soon as you've, like, you I think, like, how many times have we gone out with her? I guess like
A couple of times on minor things.
well. So here the problem is we are facing a group who's capable of orchestrating a kidnapping of a princess, and not just any princess, princess of Helm's Blessing, which in itself is quite a tall order, and admittedly, you've made a lot of progress. However, experience is, I think, best served in small bites, since, well, you'll choke on it otherwise. It's
Wow.
very
That
poor
was-
analogy.
I mean,
That is a
that's a fantastic metaphor. I love it.
Yeah, I gotta say that was actually really, really good.
yeah, it was good,
Yeah.
but it was still weird.
Yeah.
It was no,
It's-
definitely weird.
It was very grim.
It's fun.
So Danny sort of like lets her hands fall to her side and just sort of says, "Well, I guess that does sound, well, kind of dangerous, but
And as a reminder, you would not be the first to fall due to overconfidence. We have had that misfortune in the past already.
Damn.
yeah, there's a moment where like some of you look at Tallithsyr and Tallithsyr's already just got like her eyes are closed and she's just like, okay, that's
No, this was
cruel but fair."
But...
this was not a stab at Tallithsyr.
Yeah, it wasn't a stab at Zira, but it was just fine.
So Donnie just sort of like says, "Okay, I get it, but as long as you know, She like lowers her voice. It's like Vandal's gonna have us scrubbing the barracks and rescuing cats from trees.
Well, perhaps sometimes you can like you can leave that to like the rookies occasionally. Just takes a couple on.
She like raises an eyebrow. You just like I'm not sure you should be recommending that, but.
Oh hey,
Come on, he's not that bad, really.
Look, they like I feel like rescuing a cat out of a tree might be a challenge for some of these, but they'll get there eventually.
Damn.
I mean, getting a cat out of a tree is just a genuinely awkward thing.
She just sort of like shrugs and says, "I guess I'll polish the ladder."
I mean, hey, you've got all sorts of stuff you could be working on. You got them sword skills, you got the magic skills, you got all of it.
All
Yeah.
those skills.
Well, hey, at least
hell, I'm not gonna be taking.
Well, at least Ostendal's in charge. Things will stay in order.
Yeah.
And once I get back, we can find you something more challenging to do.
Fine, but I'm gonna hold you to that.
Don't
And hey,
worry.
I'm not gonna be taking everything with me, so if you want to look through any notes, you're welcome to.
Sure, I guess I'll find some time. And Sarah just sort of like turns to you, Kelariis, and says, "Well, I guess this is my chance to look for people to help on my own."
Yes, but don't forget that it's also important to remember that you can take help with you to do that. You don't have to do it completely on your own.
She nods.
And I'm sure that you're more than capable of doing it. That I have no doubt of.
I mean, yeah, look, we've got a good team going on there, you two. See, Vandal, look, they'll be a great team. Just send them out on something. They'll do fine.
Vodal is long gone.
Yeah,
Like,
Elizabeth was sure he was there.
Yep.
She like looks around, is like, "Where's he gone?" Like, oh, never mind.
He'll
Forget it.
used to it.
Right. I promise, though, that I promise that the next time we take on a job, you will definitely not be left here. This is just a bit out of the ordinary, even for us.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's just like, just watch as the next job is we're going to go and fight a dragon. Ha!
Well, like I'm sure we'll find something smaller before that happens. Besides.
Yeah, we haven't actually ever fought a dragon campaign, which is not to give you ideas.
Yeah, I was like, don't say that! Now it's,
Oh, I'm aware.
But yeah. Okay, I think if otherwise, if you want to do something, I think you and Fasera together will be great. You should be able to handle basically anything. So
The two sort of look at each other and say, "Well, we won't let you down."
good. I didn't expect you to.
you'll both be great.
At this point, Vondal re-emerges from inside with like a handful of backpacks and the bag of holding.
Elizabeth's just like, oh, that's where you went. You just vanished on me.
Von Dad coming back in full
Yeah.
force!
He's like,
Yeah.
He's just like, "I can't believe you guys are still standing here. Come on,
We were
going to be
having
late. Get
an
in the car."
Take your lunches, make sure to call. Make sure to call, tell
Call
me how
when
you're
you get
doing.
there.
Did you brush your teeth, Sarah?
You can call me, right? You did charge the wizard.
You did charge the wizard.
He
That's a
did
great
charge
sentence.
the wizard.
Oh my god.
Remember to charge your wizard, kids, before you leave home on a magical journey.
Always charge the wizard.
Always charge.
Make sure you have extra batteries just in case.
I just like how it works, like in multiple ways, because you can also just pay a wizard.
Yeah.
You could also pay,
Right.
but you have to
That's
find
true.
a wizard.
Find a wizard.
Yeah,
Hire
a
them.
pay wizard.
Oh my god.
Are we on a pay?
Literally a wizard for hire though.
Yeah. Are we on a pay as we cast contract then, or?
Yes. I mean, if it has a component cost, yes.
Oh my
Yeah. There you go.
God.
It's a pay as you cast.
Pay as you cast.
Oh, yeah, it's oh my god.
And we get a
This
set
works
amount
on
of
so
data, we
many
get-
levels.
and we get a
Yes,
set amount
about
of
25 words.
Oh.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh
There's like a maximum character limit. There's a set amount of.
my god, there's so many
set
levels
data
here.
we've
Let's
got.
just not.
Pay
We can go on for hours about this.
We're going down this rabbit hole real too hard.
Yeah, we are in our classic way.
So, yeah, Vondal like hands out a number of backpacks. There's like food and provisions. There's the bag of holding with. Oh god, it's been a long time. What's even in the bag of holding, Grim?
All sorts of
much.
crap. Wait,
there are a few
where's the bag
things-
of holding
There are
thing?
a few things we might want to leave here. Like we still haven't actually done anything with the ceremonial dwarven armor, like half plate.
Oh come on, that's probably in display on display in like Vondal's office or something.
You say that like Vondal has an office. You guys have like 3
Yeah, I know,
buildings.
I know what you mean, but like wherever he spends the most of his time.
Probably on the Great Hall then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
put it on
something
display.
like that.
Yeah, probably next to the big Amber Eagle banner that you guys have got now.
Considering the way we would usually use our fist-sized diamond, we should probably keep that like here, because well, Vondal is the only one that
Oh,
has really
yes.
use for it.
Yeah.
And then if we can get back here, then at least we know it's here.
It's there and it's ready.
Yeah, Vondal sort of like, takes it from you and sort of says, well, fingers crossed I don't have to use this.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Sort of turns to Arya and says, don't make me have to use this.
Hey, why are you looking at me?
Yeah, if anything,
You know why I'm looking at you!
I'm just gonna put all of Vondal's stuff into
Also,
the
come on. Vondal wouldn't
subcategory.
only hassle Arya with that. There's 2 reckless maniacs in this party.
Wow.
Considering V isn't coming along, I guess we can leave her stuff behind.
Yeah, come to think of it,
But-
you guys haven't seen V in a couple of days.
I feel like that's not the most unusual thing, but also it's like, well, where did
Hmm.
she go?
Well, you know where she probably is. There's, well, Arya you know especially, because you know that just outside of town there is a small place that V has set up as her own. So you were there while she was planting Elven.
Oh,
I guess we'll bring along the spare crossbow. But you never know when that's useful. Oh no, we already have a spare crossbow. Never mind.
Another one.
yeah,
Two
that's
crossbows.
It's like, what's in here? It's a fist-sized diamond, extra crossbows.
Oh, we never did anything with the ancient elementary mathematics either. We found at the mummy research notes.
Elizabeth's like, oh, yoink!
Oh yeah, Elizabeth will take. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right, huh?
You say that like Elizabeth and Vondal both haven't read each of those 4 times each.
You pull the elementary mathematics out, and Elizabeth is like, no, the bookmark will fall out.
Yeah,
No.
literally. Literally.
I think that well, I'll remove the half plates and put that in the keep. Otherwise, I think most of our stuff is kind of okay. Anything that anybody things
Do we
we'll
have
need.
a keep inventory?
I put it at the bottom of the bag of holding for now.
Oh, great.
So I decided
We need
thought
to
that would
keep
be-
inventory.
The worst, actually.
What?
Bad pun.
Oh,
I
Oh!
didn't realize.
Oh,
Accidental puns!
Oh,
Yes!
I thought you did that on purpose.
Nope!
oh my god.
Accidental puns for the win!
Oh,
I love how
wow.
only Jayla got that. at
Amazing.
first.
Keep inventory!
I 100% thought that was intentional on your part. So I was like, really? Are we really doing this now?
Oh god, Minecraft jokes. No, that was entirely accidental.
Anyway,
So it hurts me. It's so bad.
so
I thought it was pretty good.
after spending a good half an hour gathering your stuff, putting on armor, gathering weapons, saddling the horses, you guys are pretty much, ready to go. Like, you keep things on hand specifically to allow you to be ready to go on these sort of things at a moment's notice. So, I don't think you need to prepare anything.
Here's the thing, how many horses did we actually have? Did we buy more horses?
I believe you
Or did we
had.
still only have the 2?
No, I believe you had 3 horses, didn't you?
Yeah, we had 3.
Oh well, no, you have 2 horses and Kelariis' horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Grim prefers not to ride by himself anyway.
That wasn't necessarily a thing. That was the most convenient because I'm relatively small.
Mm.
Yeah.
Although, admittedly, I am proficient in that kind of stuff. But oh well. Oh no, actually, not horse riding, just land vehicles. Never mind.
Yes,
Yeah,
if you had a cart, you'd be proficient in it. But...
Yeah. Have to sit on a horse. But
Well, regardless, someone's doubling up.
I'll just double up with Arya, I guess.
Is Arya going to let her?
That's a lot of tension on one horse.
I mean, can my horse carry another person?
Yes.
I can no-hold somebody. I don't give a
I mean,
shit.
he can ride with me. It's fine.
Okay, I was just
I
like,
like-
I don't know.
I like how, like, just the idea was like everybody like, oh no, we need to stop this.
Look, all
like-
I'm saying, offers open. Somebody else can also ride with me. It's probably.
That's just giving me the mental image now of like it just being like one person plus Grim and Arya in a room, and that one person not wanting to leave in case things go south while they're alone together.
Like, I like to think that the relationship is stronger than sitting on a horse together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we've been through enough shit at this
Yeah.
point that sitting on a horse together is gonna be okay.
I mean, you guys have literally saved each other's lives multiple times.
Yeah.
And beat the shit out of each other multiple times too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Mostly just Grim beating me out.
you
It's
tried.
fine.
You also did kind of let him.
I didn't know the pit fight.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
did not.
Yeah,
pit
you
fight.
let him.
Wow.
No.
No, she definitely did not.
No, she did because she could have tapped out or pretended to go down, but she
But it
didn't.
was because she wanted to punch back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
Who
like
taps
fair,
out?
honestly.
So in other words, she let him.
Anyways.
Oh well.
So, you guys sort of are saddling up, ready to leave, and as you're doing so, basically the doors to the living quarters sort of open, and clad in his sort of thick-collared furs, Drask walks out of the living quarters, walks up to you, Grim, just as you're sort of like getting on the horse, and sort of says, "So, you are going then?"
Yes. We are on a royal mission, surprisingly enough.
Ah,
to retrieve a princess of all things. But don't worry, we'll make it back.
Hopefully.
And
Wow.
otherwise, well, you'll figure
Otherwise,
something
we'll
out.
die.
Right?
No, otherwise she'll figure something out. It's fine.
Well, from the Serpent Totem tribe to you, please accept this. And he extends his hands towards you. And in his hands, he is holding a small wooden carving of a scorpion.
Ah.
Oh.
Fascinating.
That's kind of useless, but nice.
I will accept. I'll graciously accept this this carving. And
It is a lucky charm of war. But I think in this case it will be useful.
well, may not be as big as a war, but going to war, kind of what we do. So scorpion carving.
A wooden scorpion carving, yes.
Elizabeth is like very clearly resisting the urge to ask a million questions.
When we get back, you can ask.
Well, travel quickly. And do not die.
The
Don't
plan
worry.
is to not.
I think we can manage.
Yeah, the goal is not to die.
Barask is not a tactician, but that sounds like a good plan.
But hey, you keep yourself out of trouble too, eh?
Sort of, like, smiles with his, like, sharp lizard teeth and sort of says, "No promises."
Oh god.
Good enough for me.
Oh my god. What have we done? Why is this lizard man in our house?
Because he's an ambassador.
Honestly, I don't feel like the lizard man could do too much harm, so it's fine.
Eh,
You
he's
think?
okay.
Hey, not while Vandal's there.
That's true. Vandal is there.
So, I guess you guys are ready for the road.
Woo!
Okay. So, for 4 seasoned adventurers, with the capabilities that you guys have, traveling a main road for 3 weeks is not exactly a dangerous pursuit by any stretch of the imagination.
Some would call it piss easy.
Any bandits or wild animals foolish enough to attempt to get in your way are either driven off or keep a wide enough berth from you all. Your reputation sort of precedes yourselves for a certain radius outside of Ivywood Market, and your apparel and demeanour otherwise suggests that perhaps you aren't
Don't fuck with us.
easy travellers to prey on.
I don't know who would fuck with the Dragonborn, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
the Dragonborn in full plate.
Yeah.
To be fair, they probably take a brief look at our party, see Elizabeth, who's dressed in nice fine clothes and does not look like a warrior, and go, ooh, and then they look at everybody else and go,
Yeah.
no.
It's like,
Oh,
maybe
shit.
not.
Yeah, not to mention the large wolf that has now gone from being like sort of like dog size to being sort of like Great Dane sort of size.
Pretty
Um,
big. Pretty big.
I like the way that you worded that, made it sound like Great Danes are no longer dogs.
Yeah. Well, I should have said like regular dog size to
No.
Great Dane size.
I knew what you meant, but it was just a funny wording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like previously Lyra sort of like came up to like Arya's hip maybe. Now she's sort of like up to Arya's midriff almost.
Big dog.
Big
Big dog.
doggo.
And somehow inexplicably getting bigger.
Why is she still growing? What's going on?
She's a big girl.
Ugh.
Oh my god.
So, is there anywhere that you would like to expressly visit, or anything that you would expressly like to do on your travels before arriving in the city of Helm's Blessing?
I can't think of anything.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. In that case, if you can expend gold equal to the number of travel days halved, that will cover you to get to Helm's Blessing. So you've got about, let's call it like maybe 20 days, so 10 gold per... No, wait.
What?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
no, that's not right. How much is trail rations again?
It's like 2 gold. It's like
yeah,
a gold for 2.
A gold for, yeah. So that tracks.
Yeah, so 20 days, so 10... Yeah, 10 gold per... It seems like a lot, but...
Yeah, that seems like a lot. That means...
Well, we can't create food and water out of thin air anymore.
It's been a while since I worked this.
I assume because we're traveling on the main road, there will be inns and whatever along the way. that we
Yes.
can get like cheaper food.
Yeah, okay, so... Let's go to...
Wait, I can create food and water. I
you-
totally forgot this is something I can
Wait,
do.
you can create food and water now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, then,
water.
then in that case it will cost you nothing.
Yeah, 'cause, like, as long as I have 1/3 level spell slot every day, I can do that for us.
Which
so.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't even need to look at this.
Yay!
Yeah, I was like, hold on, wait a second, that's also a paladin spell, I think.
Okay,
Question
so
mark.
Kelariis
Right, being able
produce...
to create food and water out of thin air.
Kelariis creates nutrition for all of you. And after a quick journey, you arrive in the city of Helm's Blessing.
Are you sure this isn't Scotland? Judging by that flag there.
It is definitely not Scotland.
Damn.
It's more like medieval Italy.
Not Renaissance Italy.
Not Renaissance Italy, no. But that's just the
Just ignore the slightly
It's
scarred.
merely
Yeah.
coincidence.
it's artwork with random imagery in it.
Yeah.
So yes, you arrive in the city of Helm's Blessing in about the middle of the day, about probably just under... Actually, you know what? Arya, give me... hang on. Let's check your new skills and proficiencies. Because... it's not in that one.
Too many.
We'll get there one day.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Okay, so you don't have a... Oh no, do you have a specific thing for this? Yeah, you no longer have a specific thing about this. So make me a survival check with advantage.
Oh, no. Oh, that button.
Okay.
No, I won't.
Cool. So I will say with your navigation skills, your ability to find campsites and find various shortcuts off the beaten track, you managed to make it in closer to 2 weeks. So it's probably takes you 15, 16 days to get there rather than the 20 odd that it was predicted. And yeah, I guess you guys arrive in town to find that the city is fairly bustling. Whilst the winter here is quite clearly sort of beginning to roll in, there's still a surprising number of sort of like people out as street vendors. There's a lot of people hustling and bustling in the streets. If you had to place your bets, you'd probably say that there's perhaps some festival or celebration upcoming, purely with the amount of people that are out and about. Although, racking your brains, none of you can think of any religious holidays or anything that would account for this. So unless it's some local celebration that you're unaware of, difficult to say. Yes. As you pass through basically the main gates of the town, you notice as well that there's basically like a number of sort of guard outposts are strategically placed around the sort of the town square that you enter into. That's on one edge of the city, and basically on the hill that peaks in the center of town, you can see that there's a winding path that leads up towards a large castle at the center of the city. And I think there we will go ahead and take a short break.